Open letter to DC Comics. This is how you do a superhero versus superhero movie. The motivations were believable, you bought in, and it was great.
I really enjoyed this film. They brought the characters together in a believable way. All the fight scenes seemed like they had a purpose. They weren't just there for a fight scene's sake. It was well done.
To kind of expand a little bit on what Thomas said, DC, this is how you do a comic book movie, not just a superhero versus superhero movie. It had all of the elements to it that I love about comics, the kind of irreverence and humor that comes out of it that feels natural and not forced.
On the roof!
Hey, everyone.
I was super annoyed with the Spider-Man in the trailer. It made me almost not want to see this movie. But they did Spider-Man really well. The fellow who plays Peter Parker was enthusiastic and childish. And you had mentioned that him and Paul Rudd did something that you liked, but I don't remember exactly what you had said.
Well, it was kind of, I really enjoyed their characters, and you know, it's hard to use the phrase fourth wall break because Deadpool has so kind of co-opted what that really means.
We cover that in our review of Deadpool.
You should check it out. But in this one, for example, it was just the really subtle things, like Peter Parker or Spider-Man commenting on Cap's shield. Wow, that shield does not obey the laws of physics at all.
You've got a metal arm. That's so cool.
Yeah, and
He's quite the fanboy.
Yeah, exactly. And Ant-Man as well, being so impressed that he's meeting Captain America, and really reminding me of conventions where people meet Stan Lee and the actors that play a lot of these characters and stuff, and what that would be like in real life to meet an actual superhero and stuff. I thought that was a nice little minor fourth wall break, but just a really cool, adds a level of realism to these that I just love.
And it's fun to watch.
Yeah, that's it exactly. The actors make this fun to watch.
Yeah.
Batman v Superman, like we said, it was enjoyable, it was fine, but it's not a lot of fun to watch, and this
has not a lot of rewatch value.
Yeah.
I would like to see this one again.
Yeah, exactly.
Other thing that stood out for me was that in spite of this movie being called Captain America, it really should have been called Iron Man Civil War, because Robert Downey Jr. stole this movie from everyone else. I believe this is probably his best Iron Man appearance. He just hits you with the emotion of like what he goes through, the guilt and all of that, because we know Tony Stark's always been a troubled guy, and this movie, I think more than any of the other ones, showed kind of the, doesn't show it, but it alludes to the dark places that he goes. Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely wonderful.
Iron Man, and they don't shy away from this. They really do make him an antagonist of this movie in a way that Batman v Superman was very afraid to do. Like, I can see both sides. I can empathize with both perspectives. They're logical. They make sense. And the motivations for some of the changes of heart that happen in the movie are logical and are actually well scripted, and I really appreciated that.
I also enjoyed the fact that it was different than the comic book Civil War. It's not a worldwide kind of registration. This is mostly just about the Avengers and them needing to be put into control. And really, you can't have that much power in one place without any oversight over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I bought into that argument in a much more real way than I did basically the same argument in Batman v Superman. I found that very interesting, that the primary antagonist of the movie wasn't, a super-powered, super villain kind of guy. He was somebody manipulating things behind the scenes and sowing dissent and creating the situation, rather than some sort of big, huge boss fight at the end. It becomes between Captain America and Iron Man. And the person behind the scenes is just a guy. I thought that was a really interesting choice.
Well, it fits in with what he's trying to do to them as well. For being the main villain in the movie, he gets very limited screen time, but what he does with the time that you're interacting with him in the movie, he controls the events in such a subtle manner, and Cap sees it, but nobody believes him until it's too late.
So another thing I kind of wanted to ask you guys about was some of the new characters that are introduced into this story. We get Ant-Man coming into the main Avengers storyline here, and Thomas, I know you've not seen Ant-Man,
so he was a new character to me. I didn't have any interest in Ant-Man because I didn't think I'd be able to take Paul Rudd seriously, but I'm going to have to watch it now after seeing this because he was just a boatload of fun. He added the right amount of humor and kind of whimsy to the confrontation he's a part of.
I enjoyed the moment of Ant-Man revealing his newest power.
That was pretty cool.
Yes.
And it was nice to see them take the character in another direction.
We do also get another new character, a brand new character this time around, Black Panther. What did you guys think of him?
I really enjoyed having him show up. He didn't feel forced in like I was afraid, because he is a very important character, but then just suddenly appearing in this movie, I was afraid they were just going to be like, and then there's this guy here. They gave him proper motivation. His whole purpose for being there feels real. You can understand why he chose to be part of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a rounded character with some very nice moments.
I thought his powers were kind of stupid at first. I'll scratch you, but then you actually see him fighting in that, and he leaves his marks on Captain America.
That's pretty cool.
So no, Black Panther was really, really neat.
Like you guys, I was a little worried that they just drop him in and, oh, look, there's another guy here. But they really kind of took the time to establish his character. Both this movie and Batman v Superman introduce new characters that aren't, the main characters of the movie. Black Panther in this one, and in Batman v Superman, we got the little glimpses of Aquaman and a couple others. What did you prefer? Did you like kind of integrating it into the main story like this, or did you like the kind of just a little bit of a hint of what's to come?
They move the plot ahead. The other guys are just, oh look, there's guys.
Yeah.
It kind of cheapens the Flash or Aquaman and that for Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. But this, at least, they're people. They're not just guys on tape.
I disagree with you. I liked how they did that in Batman v Superman, because that movie was long enough already and it couldn't have handled more character introductions. It's one thing that Marvel really nailed on this movie. It's not... They give you motivation, who they are, what they want to do, and how they're going to do it in a very small space. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the little clips they show in Batman Superman cheapened that movie. It would have made it cheaper had they wedged in Flash and Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
No, I just would have had it better if they weren't in there at all.
I liked it. It was 1 minute of screen time, and it makes you look forward to maybe a better DC movie.
The comparative one for me would probably be Cyborg. Is that his name from the DC one?
Yes.
Okay. I saw him in that movie. I still don't know anything about him. I had to learn from Chris after the movie that his name was even Cyborg. Like, I didn't, and so for me that didn't do anything for me. Whereas this, like you said, Marvel's got that pacing down. Like, they introduce him, they give him motivation, and this is who he is. Now watch him fight. And yeah, that's cool. I'm on board.
Makes me think of that picture I saw from the Control-Alt-Delete webcomic. They have a guy laying on the ground, bleeding from the mouth, just whispering Martha, and it shows one of the directors of Marvel stabbing him in the chest with a spear that says Civil War. He's just like, shh.
Shots fired.
I believe it earned its 92% rating. The movie was wonderful. Civil War was great. I think it's probably the highest rated Civil War since 1861. Weird question. The budget for the movie Civil War, I wonder if it exceeds the budget expended by the North and South in the American Civil War.
Wow, that's actually a really great question.
Math nerds, do your thing.
I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed the characters, the pacing. There were a few action sequences that I thought were kind of stupid because characters forgot their abilities for a few minutes for action's sake. Mostly revolving the Black Widow. She has a very efficient stunner, the Widow's Bite, and she seems to forget that she has it 5 minutes after she used it. But
side question for you, Chris. Who has a more effective stunner, Black Widow or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I also really enjoyed Civil War. I've, kind of since seeing the movie, trying to kind of figure out where it ranks for me. Coming off that movie high, I want to say it's the best Marvel movie ever. And it's pretty high up there. Even after having sat with this overnight and thought about it, it's up there. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was great. I love that these movies, they have this really good balance between character moments, real drama, great character motivations, really fun action and humor. Like, it's just, they have this formula, this balance that really works for them. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of Captain America Civil War, and if you'd like to see more from us, please click subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/Kurtrats, and on Facebook at facebook.com/KurtratsProductions.
Also, stay after the credits. There's two things.
Yeah, okay, so Marvel movies, there's certain things you have to do. You have to stay through the credits. You have to stay after the credits. You have to stay in that theater for the little preamble before the next movie. And then when you're done that, walk across the hall and peek into whatever's playing in that theater, because you can never be sure with Marvel.
You can't trust them.
They're tricky bastards.